Alright friends, so here is my table of contents video for any of you who are watching this on TikTok or on YouTube. The TikTok parts will be listed here first, with all of their categories. And then here's all the timestamps for my different topics of conversation, so that you might skip anything that you do not wish to hear about, as it might be triggering for those of you, as I am going to be discussing topics of abuse, assault, and stalking. I hope that you all stay safe and take care of yourselves. And Denki, because you're so desperate for closure, watch all of this. It's not that you deserve the closure. It's that I would like to have the ability to say that I fairly warned you of the consequences to your actions. And with that, let's get started. Hi everybody. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Sparky. I'm the owner and operator of Sender Sparks, the TikTok page, and Curtains Up Cosplay. I am a cosplayer and an artist, and I'm here to talk about the Thecosplayingwriter, also known as Leviathan Needlecraft or Denki here on TikTok. He was a friend of mine a long time ago, and we are no longer friends. Over the course of this video, you're going to see me looking off screen as I have notes. Let me pull it down and I can show you. See notes. And a list of talking points. The order of operations that I'm going to go in, oh god, that makes me sound like I'm in school. But the order I'm going to go in is, I'm going to give you all a timeline. I'm going to go over what was done to me. I'm going to talk about what was done in relation to my partner, about his ableism, what was done to others, be it my friends, people I consider family, and then I'm going to talk about the more NSFW side of things, and more adult topics. So if you do not wish to stick around for that part, it will be there towards the end, and then I'm going to talk about the consequences that he will be facing should he make contact with me again. This is something I was totally fine with just letting slide. This was something that I was totally chill with just letting go of. That is until someone came forward about a week ago to tell me that he's still talking about me. And this person looked for me for about a week. Because not only is he still talking about me, but he's making other people uncomfortable. And being he is being predatory towards other people. This is not normally something I would usually care about, because it's not my job to. And I truly just wanted to be done with this. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. I didn't want to talk about him anymore. I didn't want to see him anymore. But it was also brought to my attention during that particular conversation with this person that he's not only talking about me and making other people uncomfortable, he is making some rather scandalous accusations, and he is telling people he's not going to try and make contact with me, while also making it sound like he is. And considering that he and I work together, in air quotes, we work in the same area, that is a very real risk for me. This is someone who didn't care when I would tell him no. This is someone who didn't care when I was uncomfortable didn't matter to him. And I can't just let that slide anymore. So Denki, you've been asking why I left and talking about missing me. I hope this gives you the answers you want. Not that you deserve the closure, but because I want you to leave me alone, and I want you to leave the people around me alone. And I know you're not going to see your behavior as unacceptable, but my goal is that hopefully people around you and or your future victims will see this, and that creates a course of action that prevents them from being victims. All of this happened over the course of 1 year. For me, from the ages of, was it 1 year? Well, 1 to 2 years. From the ages of 20 to almost 22. The start of this starts at a convention where I was meeting lots of people. It was my very first convention. I was having a very good time and was very excited. Was I 20? No, I wasn't even 20 yet. Was I? No, I was. God. Anyways. When I was 20. 19, 20. Running around, I'm having a very good time at my first convention with my friends, Blitz, we'll call him. Blitz and I are running around having a very good time. We're separating a little bit, going off on our own little adventures, but staying near each other because this is my first convention and he's a bit of a disappearing risk. Not that he would do anything at that time, but just because sometimes when you get overwhelmed, you black out and you end up in somewhere new. So we tried to stick near each other, but also understood that we had other people we wanted to go see. And I meet a bunch of people, I'm having a real good time. And I meet Denki and his girlfriend, who I'll call Rose. They aren't boyfriend-girlfriend at the time. And I take some fun pictures with them. It's the last day of the convention. And I end up sitting with their group, chilling and chatting, and just generally having a good time with all of them. We all exchange Discords, and we part ways, and that's it. I lurk around their Discord servers. I'm super quiet, because that's what I do. I don't really talk to people too much. And that goes on for, I don't know how long, till my next convention. We'll call it 8 months-ish. We aren't really talking too much, just kind of watching each other. And so the next convention rolls around. I'm super excited again. My friend Blitz is taking me. And I meet up with them again. And I see Denki and I see Rose and I'm so excited. And oh my god, it's so exciting. I'm seeing these people who I know. And I met at the last convention. I'm so excited, so excited, so excited. And we're all very excited and we're chatting and we end up spending the convention together. And it's great, and we're having fun, and we end up play flirting a little bit because we're in cosplays that are usually shipped together. They're Monoma and Denki, I'm Shinzo, so of course we're going to play flirt a little bit because we're adults. Now, I think they're my age. Turns out I was wrong. They're older than me. But vice versa, they think I'm their age. And we all get a little weirded out by that. And we're all like, oh, we probably should have checked on ages first. It was chill because we were all adults. But we talk a little bit. We're all like, you know what, we're all adults, it's chill. We continue on like normal. And it's the end of the convention, and they invite me and Blitz to stay in their room with them. Blitz and I graciously agree, because we had plans the next day with them. And then Blitz pulls me aside and tells me that he's getting a weird feeling off of one of them, but he can't tell who it's coming from. And I brush it off, because Blitz is naturally anxious, and we had issues in the past where he didn't like sharing me due to his BPD, because I was his favorite person. And I'm like, hey man, just let's give him a chance. We've already made plans with him, and I don't want to be rude, but also, like, remember, you don't like sharing me, and, like, we need to make sure that, like, this is an actual bad feeling and not just you not wanting to share me. Turns out I should have listened to him. Everything goes great, and then a couple days to a couple weeks after the convention, I'm not exactly sure what the timeline there was, I get a message going, hey, Rose and I are, like, crushing really hard on you, and we were wondering if you would be open to being in a relationship with us. And I had this people-pleasing problem where I couldn't really say no very well to someone, but I also knew where the hard lines in my relationship were, and still are. And I was like, hey, well, I would be open to that. I am in a relationship, and my partner is more than likely gonna say no. And they were like, that's chill. And one of them says, can you ask them for us? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go ask. And I asked, and the answer was no. And I knew the answer was going to be no. And I even told them, the answer is going to be no, but I can ask, but the answer is going to be no. And I was quiet for a little while, and then they start bugging me again. And it's Denki. He's bugging me. And eventually I'm just like, fine, I will go ask, but I'm telling you he's going to say no. So I go and ask, and it's no, and my partner and I get into a huge tiff about it. Not a fight, but not necessarily an argument either. Just like a small little, like, why are you asking me this when you know the answer is going to be no? And I'm like, because I told these people that I would ask you, and they won't stop until I tell them that you said no. And, like, big deal, whatever, that passes. And not even the next convention rolls around. My birthday rolls around, and we all get together for it, and we all celebrate. It's my 21st birthday, and I wanted to celebrate with my friends. And so, this is when I discover I don't like sake. We're all having fun, we're filming some dumb cosplay videos, and we're just goofing off. And because all three of them are very attached to me by this point, of course all three of them want to cuddle with me. And I'm like, that's chill, that's fine, but, like, and I don't mind, but keep in mind, I don't really like being touched, so, like, we're gonna have to figure out an order for this. And they're like, yeah, that's chill. And so we figured out an order, and we all ended up kind of cuddling together. But Denki whined at me later on about how he didn't get to cuddle with me how he wanted to. And I brushed that off because he's not my partner, and we aren't that great of friends by this point. Like, I don't mind cuddling with my friends, but, like, it feels weird that he was whining that he didn't get to cuddle with me. I understand being disappointed, but and then next convention rolls around, and some weird things start happening with him and Rose. He starts talking kind of bad about Rose. And so does Blitz, honestly. Blitz regrets it, but that's neither here nor there, and that's not what we're here to talk about today. And when you're in kind of a feedback loop and an echo chamber, you're really overwhelmed and really frustrated. Especially when you have someone who's disregarding your boundaries and ignoring you when you tell them no, and trying to just get some space from them. While also, like, trying to hang out with the other friends, but not really wanting to hang out with the other friends because you're really overwhelmed and you don't want to be around anyone. So that convention was a bit of a bust, but I ended up meeting 2 new friends. We'll call them Aizawa and Dabi. Sadly, we parted ways with Rose after that convention, and it didn't go over very well. I just wanted a break, just to, like, reorder myself and separate my thoughts from everyone else's, and that's not how it ended up going, and that's not her fault. That's not her fault. She was hurt, and I could have done it better, and I will admit that. I'll always do my best to admit when I'm at fault. I didn't handle it very well, but yeah, like, it just was a bad situation all around. We meet Dabi and Aizawa, we become pretty good friends. I hit it off really well with them, and Denki hits it off really well with Hawks, and everything's going great, and then weird things start happening, like really weird things. Denki is continuing to disrespect my boundaries and disrespect the boundaries of other people around them, as well as he's in my server by this point. And in my server, I have this person who I refer to as my little brother, and in this I will call him Soap. Soap is basically my little brother. He's a sweet kid I picked up. He had a monstrous crush on me, and I shut that shit down very quickly because I'm an adult and I can't. That's not happening. I'm sorry. I don't care how sweet you are. I don't care how cute you are. I don't care how, like, puppy dog eyes you give me. I don't care. I'm the adult. Not fucking happening.
Hi. So I'm the quote-unquote little brother Sparky is mentioning. There's no way that I am related by blood or by legal papers to this individual. I am a whole different race. I am a whole different everything. I met this person at a convention in my sophomore year. There was a lot wrong with me. I don't want to get into it, but there's a lot wrong with me. And this is one of the unfortunate consequences of my wrongdoing. It was weird. It was a 4 years age difference. But I'm no way related to this person. That sounds really weird, editing this video and hearing little brother. Don't you think?
I'm sorry. What the fuck else was I supposed to call you?
I think you know.
And Denki starts, like, being kind of weird towards my little brother. This one's in air quotes because he's chosen family, but still, he starts being kind of weird towards my little brother. Soap. And we have this tracking system set up between myself, Dabi, Aizawa, and Blitz, because 2 of them were flight risks and rather suicidal, and if one of them bolted on us because we did have an incident, we needed to make sure we knew where they were. And also, it just made everyone feel better to be able to check when someone left to see that they got home safe, because we all had would forget to, like, message a group chat or something. Well, what this wasn't for was keeping tabs on people and seeing what they were doing in their day-to-day life. And Denki says to Soap, my little brother, why isn't Matt in Chal? Why isn't he texting me? Soap reminds him that I told everyone, hey, I'm going to be unavailable. I'm going to Rocky Horror Picture Show with my family. And Denki's whining to him. Keep in mind, Denki's 10 years this kid's senior.
Correction, I was a junior in high school, roughly around when this time was going on. Bro, I have to say this in a fucking audio message to put those headphones on and listen to this shit. Honestly, dude, I care about Denki's. I really do. But, like, bro, I don't know how many times we have to state you have a fucking boyfriend. And, you know, you have a fucking limit of how many shit, like, you can take. And he's like, the fact that he mentioned that to me and that he admitted that he would shoot his fucking shot if all of a sudden you became single, it really fucking pissed me off. He's like, I don't know, I don't want to deny myself their happiness. It's just like, bro, fucking chill. And he's always clamoring for you. He's like, Matt this, Matt that, Matt this, blah, 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 blah. Like, Matt. The only thing I fucking care about is fucking Matt or some bullshit. It's like, bro, shut the fuck up, please. Like, Matt, I love you. Don't get me wrong. I do love you. You're great. But, like, I know my fucking limits, and I'm not always thinking about you like how he is. But, you know, it's like I always have you in my thoughts. Yeah, I do think about you a lot because you're my boy. You're my boy like that. We hardcore homies. But, like, my mans really be like, no, Matt this, Matt that. And it's just like, good God, shut up. He's like... Honestly, I wouldn't put it past him if he secretly wants something to happen between you and Joe. I know it's really shitty for me to say, but, like, at this point, I just don't know. Because, like, he needs to, like, chill and, like, chill the fuck out. He's like, I can't... He's like, I want to hear Matt's voice. Like, you get to do life checks. And, like, you had the options of not calling him, but you did. It's just like, I'm gonna say something that I never say to any of you fuckers. I only say to Mark and Lev. You know what I mean? Oh my god, and I feel so bad for you because he's always fucking clamoring you, being so clingy. It's just like, dude, shut up, please. He has a life, you have a life, you guys are fucking adults. When a goddamn teenager who spends all his time in a fucking theater and playing marching in a fucking group of nerds, playing an instrument, has more of a fucking life and a grasp on how you should treat people, man, you got something fucking wrong. But Jesus Christ. And he's like checking Life 360 and shit. He's like, I want to see where Matt is, and I can send him weird things like while he's at work. And like, and he's like, he never stays up that late. Like, how the fuck did you manage to know how long someone stays up? Like, holy shit, I don't even know how long my friends stay up. Like, even Liev, like, Liev just says, okay, I'm going to bed. But sometimes I don't even know I go to bed. Probably fucking smokes weed or some shit. But like, bro, oh my god, I cannot handle this one bit. Bro, if he fucking pulls up to your house at an ungodly hour, dude, call me. I'll drive over and I'll fucking kill myself right in front of him. But like, Jesus Christ. I get why you guys are going to have this conversation with him. But like, I don't know if there's like a good answer to fully get to this. Because like, he's a good friend, don't get me wrong. But like, bro, he's fucking creepy as shit. And that's like, bro, like, yes, I had a crush on you. Yes, sometimes I hate to admit this, but it'll get to my point. But sometimes I do have fantasies of us being together, but like, that's only in my head, and I don't want to push that out. Did I just admit it? Yes.
Completely inappropriate. And then tells the kid that he is going to go and check my location. And he will say that he regretted that, but his willingness to go check my location tells me that that's not the first time he's done that. And that wasn't what that was for. And that leads to the first big conversation, because I sit bullets down, and Moon, my fiance / husband, and we all have a conversation about his behavior and what we've witnessed and how we're feeling. And then we call up Dabi and Aizawa, and we have a very similar conversation with them. And we call up Soap and have a conversation with him. And then that night, we all call up Denki and have the first big boundaries conversation with him. And he cries and he tells us he's going to do better and how sorry he is and how he didn't mean to do any of that. And everyone points out that he whines about me not being in call when he is, and how he always just wants to talk about me or to me or stuff we've done when I'm trying to talk to other people or other people are trying to talk to me and whatever. And my friends slowly stop showing up in calls. And things seem to get better. Well, I was wrong. By this point, he's given me my first expensive gift. Because I lost my headphones during the convention and whatnot. I'm uncomfortable with gifts this expensive, and I tell him as much. But he still had gotten it for me without my permission, knowing that I had told even my partner no. I think things are getting better because I stopped noticing the behaviors that were a problem, and I will admit that I disregarded my friend's feelings in ways that I shouldn't have. Because I wanted to believe he was getting better. Because in my eyes, he was. But he wasn't, he just got better at hiding it. Well, halfway through that next year, my year being 21, we have to push Blitz out of the group because of not only his own mental health that we can't help him and handle anymore, but also because he was causing harm to all of us. And that just utterly ripped my heart out, because this was someone I had been friends with for years, someone I really cared about and had put time, energy, money, love into to help, and I had to accept that I couldn't help him anymore and that he was causing damage. So we let Blitz go. And I'm a wreck, understandably. And I shelve a few cosplays, one of them being Dazai, because that was a cosplay I did specifically with him because he got me into conventions. And then we're 1 month out from the convention, and Denki starts really harassing me and poking at me to pull out Dazai before I'm ready, because he wants to do Dazai Chuya stuff, and I tell him I'm not ready, I don't want to, and he just keeps pushing it, and eventually I get sick of it, and I snap, and I tell him as much. I've told you no. Why are you still pushing this? I don't want to do this cosplay with you. This was a cosplay I did with someone who was very important to me. Why is it so important to you that I do this cosplay with you? Back off. The answer is no. And he got really quiet for a while after that. And I thought that was the end of it. And then I get a message from him, and it's an apology. Saying, hey, I'm really sorry. You're right, I shouldn't have done that. Let me buy you a cosplay. Now, I'm no stranger by this point to his weird gift-giving habits. He'd always told me that gift-giving was his love language. And I asked him to please just limit it to things like food, because anything more made me uncomfortable in the early stages of our friendship. Later on, I was a little more okay with it as I got used to it. Because while my love language isn't gift-giving, I do like to spoil my friends too. especially because, like, I can't always catch them for holidays or their birthday. So if we're out and about and there's something that they really, really want, but they don't have the money for it, of course, I'm going to be like, hey, I can buy that for you. Do you really want that? Let me get that for you. But it's not very often, and it's never anything, like, crazy expensive. It might be, like, a hoodie or a plushie or food. Food's, like, usually a pretty popular one with me, because I like to make sure the people are fed. I don't know where it comes from. That's probably something to unpack in therapy, but that's for later. And I accept it, and I send him what I want. Probably shouldn't have, but he kept kind of pushing it, and I just wanted to be done with that whole thing. And it was a cosplay I'd been eyeing for a while and really wanted to do. And then we get into it with Aizawa and Dabi. And break it off with them. And now it's the Renaissance season. And he's living in my tent with me. And he's being really pushy and really touchy in ways that I'm not comfortable with. And he knows that. Well, we had met 2 people at that convention. I'd met 2 people at that convention, and I'd become friends with them. And I'll call them Larry and Rabbit. Now, Larry and Rabbit were a couple, and I hit it off really well with them. We got along really well, and I ended up spending most of the convention with them because it got me away from Denki, but also just because I thought they were super cool. And they are, they're great. And after everything, I start getting closer to them, and Denki starts latching on harder to me. And then he starts whispering in my ear, telling me how he's getting close to Larry, and I'm happy, because I want him to have friends that aren't just me. So I back off a little bit on Larry, because I'm like, okay, you claimed this one as your friend, and I can still be friends with him, but I want to give you the space to, like, make proper close friends and make you, like, do your own thing with him. I'll go sit over here with Rabbit and just vibe. And that was my mistake. One of many. Because I didn't realize he was lying to me. And that was strike 2. And one night, I'm sitting with Larry and Rabbit, and I ask them how they feel about him. And that leads to conversation number 2 and 3. A couple days after I get home after hanging out with them, I call him up. And I confront him about lying to me. And he dodges it at first and continues to try and tell me he's not. But I know he is. And it comes out that he still has feelings for me. Something I already knew. And it also comes out that he's been lying to me about how close he is with Larry. Later that night, on a call with Larry, Rabbit, myself, and Denki. And that was strike 3. That third conversation was strike 3. Whether you realize it or not, because you knew about my 3-strike system. And you knew that I couldn't do liars, but anyways. And I think that's it. I think we're done. Because there's no more to say, and I blocked you. But then, the day right before my birthday, you show up at my house with a box of gifts and a couple of my things that you still had. Things that could have been easily mailed. And a letter. And I had one of the worst visceral reactions I think I've ever had. I panicked. And I lashed out at the people around me. Because I was scared. I mean, here's this guy showing up to my house when he lives 2 hours away from me. What else am I supposed to do? How else am I supposed to react? I didn't keep anything from that box except for 3 items. The set from Paw Star that was mine. And the earrings from Terry. As you can see, I'm still wearing them. Everything else got donated because I wasn't having any of that. Rabbit, myself, and Larry and Moon were in talks about possibly contacting the police. I decided that wasn't worth it, and instead we were going to write up a cease and desist. Never finished that. That just... Well, as far as I know, that never got finished. But I could be wrong. But we were in talks, at least, about writing up a cease and desist. And that was the end of the story, or so I thought. Come to day of the eclipse, I get a message on TikTok from a young man about my age, maybe a little older, maybe more like Moon's age. Says, hey, I've been looking for you for about a week. I think you know someone that I know, and I just want to confirm a couple things. I'm paraphrasing here, so I apologize. Everything is not going to be word for word. Let me actually find it. Yeah. Hi there. I think I know someone you used to know, and just wanted to make sure their behavior is as insane as I think they are. And I asked who it might be. And they tell me it's you. Imagine my surprise and my dread when I see that name. Truly, I thought I was done with you. Turns out, for the last 5-6 months, you've done nothing but talk about me. So, you want your closure, man? Fair enough. Let's get into that. So, I know we've already sort of covered it, but the harassment about me trying to get me to be with you, and then telling me it was your ex-girlfriend, Rose, not cool, man. Not fucking cool. That's never okay. Never okay. How about you trying to get close to my family? Dude, they barely knew who you were. You were just some weirdo that showed up to my house every now and then to do cosplay shit with me. Like, yeah, I gave you things to talk with my family about because you would feel awkward. But quite frankly, they weren't interested in being close with you. You weren't my partner. Trying to befriend Moon. Yeah, no, that wasn't gonna work. For one, he hates men. Just thinks they're creeps. He barely likes women, dude. He hates people. We'll put it like that. He hates people. That wasn't gonna work out for you. What was your goal there? Was it to get to me? Really, I think it was. Because while most of my friends want to befriend
Moon,
it's not to the same level you were trying to.
Can you say that again?
So, my partner and I, Moon, were gonna go out on a date, and
we got dressed up, and I sent some photos to Denki of us, and one of them is of us kissing. Because cute couple photos, you get the ones of them kissing, you know. And I sent those to my friend Denki. Well, at the time, friend Denki. God, I need to figure out my language for this. And a couple weeks later, he texts me and says, "Hey, can you not send me pictures of you guys kissing, because it makes me uncomfortable, because I still really like you and I'm really lonely." And I'm like, "Oh, no, that's chill. I can absolutely do that. I don't want to make you uncomfortable." And I completely forgot that part. I'm scrolling through selfies and I saw the picture of Moon and I, and was like, "Oh, that's really cute." And yeah. Let's talk about how if you couldn't have me, you were going to get someone else like me. Because don't think I didn't find out about you comparing me to Larry. I don't really see the similarities. Just that we're both pretty and tall, and that twink aesthetic. I don't see it, man. We're just both cosplayers, and we're both friendly. Outside of that, we're very different people. But then when you couldn't have Larry and you couldn't have me, you found another twink. Pretty little gay boy from Florida, who we'll call him Florida Boy. And we'll come back to Florida Boy, but I mean, when you're telling me that it's uncomfortable that I am 21 and almost the same age as your sister, and you're 27, 28, you don't like having a crush on me, why'd you get with someone who's 20? Feels a little weird, man.
Okay. This is little brother Soap speaking again. I need to specify when this happened. This happened roughly when I was about to or already did turn 18. The person he got with was 20. I don't know if they're 21 now. I don't know any specifics, but technically this person was 2 years older than me. Somebody who graduated when I was a sophomore. Someone to be my literal brother. That's really weird from my end.
And I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about these, because I think they speak for themselves, quite frankly. And I've covered a lot of these already in my timeline, but whatever. Ignoring my nose. This one goes also into ignoring my boundaries. My boundaries are super simple. If I say no, it means no. And I'm usually going to be very clear with my no's. If I dodge you, that's a no. Pretty obvious. But apparently, with you proclaiming that you were my best friend, consent no longer mattered to you. And I'm usually a pretty chill person. I'll let someone cross whatever boundaries I feel like they can, to see just how far they can go, to see how comfortable I am with someone. Just like I'm a boundary tester, I'll let other people boundary test on me. It doesn't go one way, it goes both ways. I don't care. I'll stop you when I feel it's too far, or when I start feeling uncomfortable. But I would stop you, and then you would whine at me. Like a dog. Like a bitch in heat. Is that what you were? Were you a bitch in heat? Because that's really unbecoming of someone. Especially whining at someone who's not your partner. Because I didn't consent to be your caretaker when you would try and regress on me. I didn't consent to being your caretaker when you would go into pet space. And again, we'll get into this again later. And I didn't consent to all of the touching you would do, and the rubbing, and the whining, and the vying for my attention, and the touching, and the touching, and the touching. I didn't consent to that, and you never asked. Because guess what? Even my best friends ask. Even my partner asks. Even my family asks. You know why? Because I've been SA'd and assaulted on numerous occasions. But apparently that didn't matter to you because you thought you were special. Newsflash, you weren't. And quite frankly, that all culminates in a lack of respect for me. For someone who claimed to be my best friend, you were really bad at it. Let's talk about how you would cross boundaries that you knew were a hard no. Like, but iPad. Like going in this area. You knew that was a hard no. And yet you still did it. You knew my back was virtually off limits because up until recently, I had nerve pain and other pain issues and problems that were going unchecked because I had spent years whining about it and no one listened to me and no one helped me fix it. Now I'm getting it fixed. But that still wouldn't change the fact that I don't really like people coming up behind me. I don't like people touching me back there. And you did things to try and negate that and help me, and I don't want you to think I didn't appreciate it, because I did notice and I did appreciate it. But you doing those things doesn't negate the fact that you still crossed lines you weren't allowed to. You knew that I had no feeling in my back, and you still touched me back there. You knew that when someone touches me back there, it hurts like a mother trucker. And yet you would still touch back there. You triggered one of my blackout triggers, which resulted in me almost snapping your wrist. Now, I wasn't aware that where you put your hand was going to set it off. But you also knew that was an area that we shouldn't mess with. You put your hand directly between my knees. And because of how I was cornered in your car, with your center console to my back, doesn't matter that I could probably still make it out of there. Doesn't matter that I could still escape. All the doors were shut and you were blocking the one open door and leaning over top of me with your hand between my legs. You very quickly went from friend to foe and threat. And you set me off pretty badly. And you would tell people that you talked me down from that particular episode, but you didn't. The only thing that saved your hand, and by proxy you, was the fact that you stopped moving. I don't know how long I was out for. I don't know how long I felt like I was in danger for. You still set it off. Oh, puppy. Let's see. Yeah. We'll touch on this one. The boyfriend privileging, or trying to receive boyfriend privileges. See, you are not my wonderful fiance. You're also not my wonderful work husband or my platonic wifey observer. So you don't get those privileges. Hell, you're not even my best friend from childhood. So you don't get those privileges. You don't get to act like we're together. You don't get to treat me like I'm your partner. You don't get those privileges. Hell, my friends barely get those privileges that I just listed. They barely get those privileges because they get a step below it. They get platonic partner privileges without being in a relationship with me. It's hard to explain. I have a very weird dynamic with my friends. It's before anyone goes, that's QPR. It's not a QPR. Trust me, it's not a QPR. And you would try really hard to get boyfriend privileges that weren't allotted to you. And that wasn't cool, because that meant not only were you disrespecting me, you were disrespecting my relationship and my partner, and my partner's consent and my consent. Not cute. Well, that actually just took off one of the things I was going to talk about. Cool. Now, I know I mentioned this earlier with the whining, but for me, it was basically your way or the highway for me. It was either your way or the highway, and I felt like I had no autonomy or right to myself. Do you know what it's like to be put in that position? Again, unconsensually. It doesn't feel good. It's kind of scary. It's uncomfortable. And I was basically in a constant state of stress. Because not only did I have to juggle my own emotions and my feelings, but I had to log how that was going to make you feel. And then I had to juggle yours on top of it. And then I had to juggle my actions to make sure that they balanced your emotions and your feelings and your wants and your desires. Because God forbid I want anything that goes against what you want. And God forbid I don't want something that you want. Let's talk about the personality sponging next. Oh, because Jesus fuck. That is a ride. I would say I wear a dog collar because my ex used to hang off my neck and it made me very uncomfortable. And he didn't like things around my neck. And so it became sort of a safety blanket for me. It kept him off my neck. Suddenly you wear a collar. Different kind of collar. Cool. But then you start telling me that it's for the same, safety blanket reasons. Because you used to do this as a kid and you didn't know what it was called. Dude, you have the internet, you're an adult, you can look these things up. But you would always insist that it wasn't because of me. But I would say that I'm into anthro characters, or I'm furry, or I'm furry adjacent, and suddenly you're a furry. I create a Mary Sue character just for shits and giggles. You create one too. And suddenly you're trying to ship them together. Trying to put real life things into a story that we're writing that I'm not cool with. I create a character that I was going to use as my self-insert, and I was chill with our self-inserts being shipped together because I wasn't that deeply inserted into him. It was cool. And quite frankly, I thought they were a really cute couple. But what wasn't okay was you wanting NSFW artwork of our self-inserts together. And now, because I'm desperate for money, and I'll do anything for it, well, almost anything, I dislodged myself from that particular character. But I was still going to charge you a lot. Because that's me you're asking for porn of. Or it was me. Eventually you dropped it. Quite frankly, I was glad. But everyone around me also agrees that that's super weird, man. Why would you want that? That's weird. Now, they thought it was weird that I agreed to it, and I'm like, look, man, money. I needed money at the time. I'm no stranger to doing weird shit. So, I just was gonna accept it and move on with my life. I'm considering selling the character now, because I don't have any connection to him, and he's very cute. And someone else might love him. I'm also considering just redoing him because I don't necessarily like how he looks anymore. Or his story. But anyways. That's weird. And then there's the you trying to push people out of my life. I noticed my friends disappearing. I noticed people stopped coming around and talking to me when you were in chat. I noticed later you pushing really hard to try and push my work husband out of my life. Or at least convince him that he wasn't as important as you were in my life. Which, you're wrong. But we'll get there. We'll get there. Because that's a talking point that involves him. We're not quite to talking about what you did to the people around me. You did, however, try and replace Blitz. And that didn't work out for you. And that really upset you, and don't think I didn't take note of that. Because here's the thing about the people in my life. Nobody can ever fit the hole that they leave. No one can ever replace them. Because people aren't replaceable. That's just how it is. No one can replace Soap. No one can replace Larry. No one can replace Rabbit. No one can replace Moon. No one can replace Aloe, my blood sibling. No one can replace Scarlet, my mother. No one can replace I don't know. No one can replace anyone. No animal can replace any animal. That's not how it works. You don't fill their hole. You carve a new space for yourself. Because no hole can ever be filled by someone new. That's their space. And I touched on this in my timeline, but the gift giving and the love bombing, because that's exactly what this is. $200-$300 speaker. Didn't ask me for any money. Just gave it to me, because you weren't using it anymore. Headphones. This shirt. Food. Cosplays. You weren't shy about getting me things. And I just eventually accepted it. But your gifts always came at a cost, with an expectation, whether you said it or not. You give me something expensive, I'm expected to be a little more compliant with your demands. You inflate my ego, I'm expected to be a little more compliant with your demands. And whether you realize it or not, that's not okay. And I don't like being in debt to people. That's why if I buy my friends food one time, I'm like, or they buy me food, I'm like, hey, I'm going to catch you next time. Or if I buy them food and they're like, hey, I don't want to be in debt to you, I'll be like, it's chill, you can catch me next time. And we trade off. My gifts always come with no strings attached. Ever. Like I said, I have suspicions that you were and possibly still are stalking me. I mean, it's not like after you showed up to my house, I didn't start going to therapy because I was constantly looking over my shoulder. Because I was paranoid and scared that you were going to show up to my job. I mean, you live 2 hours away. Why should I be afraid of that? But it's a rightful fear considering that you knew the path to my house so well that you didn't even have to use a GPS for it. You didn't even warn anyone. You had all our numbers. Scarlet hadn't blocked you yet. Moon, I don't think blocked you yet. I was the only one. You had our numbers. You could have sent someone a message. You could have asked if it was okay. But you didn't. And so you violated all of our consent and trespassed, basically. Onto private property. So I spent months looking over my shoulder, wondering if you were going to show up. I flipped my shit on Moon for just showing up next to my car. Unannounced. Because it freaked me out. I still look over my shoulder. A lot. Despite the anxiety meds I'm on, I still look over my shoulder because I still wonder if you're there. Watching. Waiting. And then after I left, we'll call them K-pop. K-pop came and attacked me. Not physically, because they live on the other side of the world, but verbally. I received some very aggressive messages from them trying to push me back into being your friend. Trying to force me back into it, manipulate me back into it, guilt trip me. Anything and everything they could to try to get me back to you. Back into an abusive situation. An unsafe situation. And that's not okay. That's never okay. And unlike you know this, I have the decency to tell my friends and be very firm with them about my boundaries surrounding what they can and can't do in my defense. And you wouldn't believe how hard it has been to hold back some of these people who want to have a go at you and have wanted to have a go at you for a while. And I made a deal with them. If you make contact, or you do anything to me, I can't stop them anymore. Especially because you're now talking about them as well. It's no longer in my hands. How they handle this is how they handle this. Because I wasn't the only one hurt. So let's get into that. Because you would completely disrespect and disregard the feelings of those around you. All that mattered was yours. How you felt. How much you wanted me. It didn't matter that you would make people uncomfy. It didn't matter that someone would tell you no. It didn't matter. I mean, it's not like you would blitz for something very private that you weren't supposed to. You didn't ask. You just did it. You didn't even try and figure out how to use coded language. You just completely outed him as a system. And that's not okay. You also would try and trigger out an alter who you were very clearly told was not only a danger to the body, but also to the rest of us. Because he had no chill. I've since gotten to meet him. Not just because I'm oh so special. But because it eventually just became a necessity. Because, yeah, guess what? Blitz is back. But it became a necessity. Because they were just having a really bad night one night, and it just so happened that... call him Rage. Rage called me up. Screamed at me for a little while. We had a relatively productive chat. Found out what he wanted. Honestly, he just wanted to be treated like everyone else. He wanted to be allowed to do his job, do his thing. He's chilling out. He's doing pretty good. But God, does he have a bone to pick with you. I pissed him off recently, so he's got a bone to pick with me too, but we're working that out. He's got a bone to pick with you. Because for as mad as he is at me right now, he still really cares about me. And so does everyone else in the Blitz system. And they've all got a bone to pick with you. You hurt them. Just like you hurt me. And I can't hold them back any longer because at this point it's not right of me. I mean, you did try to replace them, like I said. Which leads us into what you did to Soap. I mean, you do like to proclaim that we traumatized a 17-year-old. Yeah, that's not okay. That's not an okay accusation. That's not an okay thing to be proud of. Because guess what? I went around and I asked. And I had Soap go around and ask. And Soap and I sat down and we tried to figure this shit out. And the only one that we landed on was Soap. And I never traumatized Soap because that's my little brother. And I understand and respect boundaries. And if he told me no, or that he was uncomfortable, I respected that. And something funny came up. Soap said that you found out he liked to be called something. And you started calling him that rather suggestively. Now that was when he was 18, but I could be very wrong, and I know he'll jump in and correct me because he's the one editing this for me. But that's still not okay. Now I know we would tease him, but I always knew where the line was on that. And I would always check in with him. You never checked in with him. Your job and my job as the adults are to make sure that he feels safe. You didn't do that. And that's not okay. And I know he'll probably jump in here and add to any of the things I was talking about. Because he probably has more he wants to say here. And that's fine. And I'm going to let him.
Hey guys, it's Soap. I'm just gonna ramble on for like a quick minute and then we're just gonna continue on with the video. So you can go to this timespan if you want to skip over my rambling. But I mean, I feel like it's kind of important. So Denki always gave me weird vibes from the start. I didn't really want to say anything because, you know, that's Sparky's friends. I want Sparky to have like a nice friend to be around. So I didn't really say much. But like, there was a specific moment, I'm pretty sure they mentioned it earlier, where Sparky was going to go see something. I forget what it was. And there was I put the voice memo somewhere in this video. You could probably go back to it. And I just want to reinstate that, like, if somebody who is younger than you, and this goes for anyone out there, if it's somebody who is hella younger than you and is acting more like an adult than you are, you're doing something wrong, because Denki would whine and pout and whatnot that Sparky was enjoying the call, and it was just overall, it was just insane. It was just I didn't even know what to make of it at the time. And like, there was a time and moment where Denki and I were having a conversation one-on-one, and it was just the two of us, and they admitted to me, and again, they said this, I said this in a voice memo to Sparky, they would shoot their shot if Sparky and Moon Moon ever broke up, and that really that hurt me, because I have experience being cheated on, and also you just don't do that when someone's in a relationship. And this advice that goes out to anyone: if someone is in a relationship, don't touch it. No, leave it alone. It's not your relationship. Don't. That's really much it. They gave me weird vibes. They would be kind of weird around me. Denki kind of would try to push me out, or in a way, or just trying to get me to spend less time with Sparky. And also, they came to see a couple musicals and performances that I had, and I would always invite Sparky, just Sparky only, because, you know, Sparky and I's age gap is 4 years instead of 10. makes it less weird. But Denki would do their best to get, and like they asked me, I'm like, yeah, sure, I guess you can go, but it's just like I just wanted Sparky to go. And yeah, and Denki, there was a time during, and I'm just kind of flip-flopping around, but there was a time back in 2022 where I went out cosplaying with them for Sparky's birthday, and Denki jumped out of the car so fucking fast to say hi to me, and it was really weird because, like, I don't know you, who the fuck are you, and also, I don't want my parents seeing you, but anyways, yeah, and that's all I gotta say. That's really all I gotta say for this bit.
Alright, you
So,
can go.
Kiddo mentioned something that sparked a memory for me. When I go into distress, I don't like being touched, and I'm very honest and firm with people about that. If I'm ranting, if I'm crying, if I'm upset, there are a very select few people who I will let touch me in those situations. And Denki was not one of those be and this happened twice where he wanted to touch me, and I told him no. The first time was at OhioCon. Myself, Denki, and Kiddo were up in the hotel room. I was getting changed because feminine problems, and I'm ranting about something because we're dealing with a rather rough situation, and I'm really frustrated with the people around me, and Denki goes to touch me, goes to hug me, goes to do something. I don't remember exactly what, but he goes to touch me, and I snapped at him because this was not a person who was on my okay to touch me list. This was a person I had told directly, if I go into any state of panic, anger, or anything, you don't touch me, you give me space. And his response to that was to whine at me that he needed physical contact. I'm in a situation where I'm distressed. I understand that he's distressed. But when I go into distress, I have to focus on keeping myself in control, because it's very easy for that control to slip. And I have been known to verbally lash out at people. And if someone comes in and tries to touch me or take that control from me, who I've not given the okay to, that very little string can snap, as I have a hairline trigger, and suddenly we can go from a situation where Sparky's just really, really angry and really upset to Sparky's ripping you a new one and hates you.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
No, actually, there's more.
Oh, great.
The second incident, again, upset at a con, we're in a fight with Dobby and Aizawa. And I am on the brink of a panic attack, and I'm very quickly entering a blackout, which means I'm not going to be able to communicate. I've stopped being able to verbalize my needs because I'm mid-panic attack. I'm scared. I'm overwhelmed. Everything is too much. Everything's too loud. It's too bright. Feeling too many emotions. I'm angry. I'm upset. I'm wanting to fix things. I'm feeling everyone else's emotions. Everything is just becoming too much, and I'm shutting down, and I'm just dissociating, and I'm going black. And Denki reaches out to touch me, and I snap at him again, and according to Dobby, I grab him, or them, and hissed or snarled at Denki. And just glued myself to Dobby. Because, again, that hairline trigger, this was not someone on my okay to touch me list. Yes, I had asked for help, but I had asked for help verbalizing. And he knew he wasn't okay to touch me. I don't know what more there is to that. But moving on, let's talk about my husband, my work husband, Not Moon Moon, my work husband. So with my husband, this is where we start getting into slightly more NSFW territory. So if anyone would like to leave off and come back for the ableism, that's completely fine. Because that will be directly after this, and then after this will be the NSFW topics in more depth. But you were attempting to push him out. He felt that way. I felt that way after talking to him about what you did. You were showing him pictures of me that I hadn't consented to you showing. And telling him about how hot I am. And how he should be attracted to it too, just like you are. That's how I found out you were lying to me. God, I'm hungry. But I didn't consent to you showing my lewds to people. I didn't consent to you showing a picture that never even made it onto the internet to people. I didn't consent to any of that. And for anyone who's wondering, it was a picture of me in a bunny suit. Now, for those of you who've been on my page, you probably have seen it in the skirt, but in the midnight cosplay, but this was me out of cosplay and no skirt. Just straight bunny suit. And that got set into group chats. And that's not okay. Oh my god, new filming location. Sorry, I had to go eat dinner. Anyways, yeah, that's not okay. Especially as someone who claims they have issues receiving and sending those kinds of pictures. Without warning, sometimes with warning. That's not okay. Then we have implying you were better than him for having lived with me in my tent. Newsflash. You weren't better than him. You're just convenient. I don't let people live with me just because I like them. I let people live with me because it makes my life easier. I get free camping because I'm a fair-owned booth. But I'm not going to let someone live with me for free. You need to contribute something. So usually, depending on the person, I'll ask for food, or if I'm taking you down, I'll ask for gas money, or for you to contribute some way into the food fund if we're eating at my tent. Simple things like that. You weren't better, you were just convenient, and you cut down on my costs a great deal. Now, this is just coming straight from the horse's mouth. This is a message that I received from him because I asked him to tell me about his interaction with you. So this is what my husband had to say. Denki introduced himself, followed by saying he was your best friend because you guys were tenting together. Note, not Sparky is my best friend. It was, I am Sparky's best friend. I decided not to mention that to you and that you and I had tented together. Then he started talking about how attractive and hot you were, followed by showing me several lewds of you in a bunny costume. This was something that neither you nor I consented to happening, and the whole while he was making the comments about your body and how attractive you were. That's all the interaction I had. He later came and told me how uncomfortable that interaction made him. That's not okay, especially because my husband was 19, 20, wasn't much younger than me. But you didn't know that. You didn't know how old he was. And regardless of his age, that was inappropriate. But again, here you are preying on someone who's much younger than you. It's a very interesting pattern. Now let's get into that ableism I was talking about. Because for those of you who don't know, because I don't really like to talk about it, and for the most part, that's everyone with the exception of my friends, I have cognitive memory loss. In layman's terms, that means that my short-term memory doesn't communicate with my long-term memory. That means that my brain likes to take things and just go, that's nice, and toss it out the window. I don't get to choose what makes it into my long-term memory, and that causes a lot of issues in my day-to-day life, ranging from something as simple as, oh, I forgot where my keys are, to something as extreme as, I completely missed an appointment that was super duper important. And that can get very stressful and very scary for me, because I can't find my way home sometimes, because I'll forget how I got somewhere. I will forget what I was doing. I'll forget where I put something that was very important. I've been late to places because I couldn't find my keys or my phone or my house keys. And it's really funny to watch sometimes. Don't get me wrong. I know it's funny because I make jokes about it. I wouldn't make jokes about it if it wasn't funny. But I have a steadfast rule surrounding those jokes. I start the jokes. You don't. Because for me, this is scary and traumatic. I've had full-blown panic attacks, breakdowns. I've screamed at people and had just violent reactions to not being able to find my things and getting angry with myself because of it. And that's gotten better over the years, but I still have panic attacks on occasion because I can't find something, and it makes me very stressed. But you would talk about always how bad my memory was, how I could never remember anything, and how you always had to take care of me and remember things for me because you always had the memory stick. And that was a fine joke. I joke with a lot of my friends about the people who have the memory stick, but you took it one step further and started inserting yourself into my life in really creepy ways. And I didn't realize it until people pointed it out to me, ranging from tracking my cycle. You didn't have to do that. You did it because I would bitch to you all the time about it. To tracking my things, to telling people how good of care you took care of me because I was basically helpless without you, which is not true. I was not helpless without you. But I did, however, appreciate the extra assistance because it meant that I didn't have to panic. But it started going beyond extra assistance and started going in the territory of treating me like I was less than you. And infantilizing me. Treating me like I didn't know any better. Or couldn't do things by myself. Yeah, I struggled really bad to do certain things on my own due to my anxiety, because some of these things involved things that were traumatic for me, and so sometimes it was hard, or sometimes I couldn't do things because I was too depressed or too anxious, or my ADHD got in the way, and I just needed something as simple as a body double. But that's not usually what you did. But again, your help always came at a price. That price was always affection, cuddles, and that's fine, but you knew could visibly see I was uncomfortable. And that's where we get into your use and abuse of the autism excuse. Because at some point, it stops being, oh, I'm autistic, and starts becoming, I'm blatantly ignoring your signs. And that's not okay. I understand struggling with social cues, and I understand struggling with societal rules. But when I'm giving you very clear, distinct boundaries and you're still disregarding them, when I have been clear and I've outlined them for you, and I've even expressed disdain for things you're doing to me, and you still do them, and so I start shutting down and using body language to signal to people around me and to you that I'm uncomfortable, and you're still ignoring it, that stops being, I'm autistic, and starts becoming, I don't care what you say. And that's abuse. And that's assault. Now here's where we get into the NSFW points. So if you would like to click off to the consequences of his actions, that will be on this time slot here. So, as I said earlier, you were sharing my lewds without my consent. I don't know where you got off on thinking that was okay, but it's not. It's not. Sending me NSFW artwork of characters who are minors while I'm at work is not okay. They weren't even aged up. They were Pro Heroes X minor characters. Sending me explicit artwork of characters that I found hot that were adults while I was at work is not okay, and could have gotten me in a lot of trouble, and you know that. It was funny the first couple of times because it was an accident, but after that, it was intentional, and I know it was intentional. There were real life ramifications that I could have faced because of your behavior, and that's not okay. You put my job in danger. Do you know how many times I had to go to the bathroom just to open your messages so that I could make sure that when my phone sat up and I got a notification that that little image wasn't in the corner? Or so that if I opened my messages, it didn't go directly to you? Do you know how uncomfortable it is to receive NSFW artwork of a character that's a minor? I don't care if the character is not really a minor, like, not real. That's still uncomfortable. So uncomfortable. Like, I don't know what else to say on that. Moving on to you screwing someone in my tent after being told not to. I treated it like it was a joke because I thought it was. But I also knew that there was a possibility it wasn't, and that if it happened, I didn't want to know. I told you I didn't want to know. I didn't want to smell it. Didn't want anything to do with it. I didn't want to know. And yet, you still told me. After not only being expressly told not to do it, but also that I wasn't comfortable with knowing. But that didn't matter to you because your goal, I believe, was to make me jealous. Dear God, Sparky, you keep moving. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. My family came into where I was filming. Anyways, yeah, copulating in my tent. Not cool. Alright. Let's move on to the usage and abuse of kink dynamics, and you weren't a part of. So, it's nobody's business whether or not I am a top, bottom, sub, dom, switch, verse, whatever. Nobody's business. You know why? 'Cause it's not. And if I'm talking with my friends about it, I get to decide what they know, not you. Because in no way, shape, or form are you my top. You are not my submissive. You're not my anything, and I never entered a dynamic with you with any set rules or consent of anything like that. Now, we've been known to mess around, and I've been known to mess around with some of my friends like that. But it never goes beyond anything other than light banter. Or really anything like that. You know why? Because I'm not their top, or their submissive, or their switch, and they aren't mine. And yet, somehow, you believed you not only had the right to tell people that I wasn't a switch, but the right to act as if you were my dominant, when you weren't. Huge violations of consent there, buddy. I mean, as someone who's so interested in this community, you should know how important that is. I mean, it's not like I've done a lot of research into this, a lot of reading. It's not like I don't have friends in the community who I can talk to about this. It's not like you couldn't do research. Not that hard. I mean, FetLife exists for a reason. But you didn't. You just decided what I was and wasn't, and went from there. And that's not your job. So, I hope to God that you don't pick up a submissive or a dominant, because I don't think you'll treat them very well. Hell, I don't think if you pick up a switch, you'll treat them very well. But who's to say? It's none of my concern. But I mean, you were outing me to people. You were laughing at me when I would talk about it. When people would make jokes or comment about how dominant I seemed, you would laugh at them and tell them that I wasn't. And don't think I didn't notice how uncomfortable people got when you did that. I think you did too, and I think you just didn't care. And that's not good for anyone. Because that's not how that community works. And that's a real good way to get your ass kicked. That's also a real good way to get thrown out of some clubs. So, shape up or ship the fuck out. Because, I wasn't your submissive, and you knew that. And if you wanted to play, you should have asked my dominant for permission. But you never did. You know why? Because you didn't want to engage in a scene with me, and you didn't want to play with me. You wanted me to be yours. But I wasn't going to be yours. So you kept trying to corner me into it, turn me into what you wanted, and I just never was going to be. And tough shit there, buddy. But now I hear you're making other people uncomfortable, doing things you were doing to me, and just generally being a fucking creep. And I'm not surprised. So here's what's going to be happening should you decide to make contact with me. Now, as you'll notice, you've been unblocked for this on TikTok so that you can see it. And I'm kind of hoping that you just go from my profile to watch the full video on YouTube, because you aren't going to be able to contact me on TikTok. On either TikTok. Because my messages will be turned to friends only. Because I'm not risking it. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to hear from you. I don't want you to make contact. And I want to make something perfectly clear to you. My boss has already been alerted that you are not welcome in my booth. You are not welcome behind my booth. My other Renaissance friends were alerted after you showed up to my house. And will be alerted again, closer to season. So I will make sure that they are aware that you are not welcome in any spaces that I am in, and that you're not welcome anywhere near me. Should you make contact with me, not only will your bosses be alerted that you are harassing me, I will file a report with the police department. Security will have already been alerted to your harassment by this point. And not only will I be charging you with harassment and stalking, but should I deem it fit, I am prepared to sue you on the grounds of emotional damage, stalking, and harassment, as you're the reason I'm in therapy, and I would like to not spend the next year or so looking over my shoulder, wondering if you're going to try and talk to me. So Denki, fuck around and find out. I dare you. No, I don't. No. If you fuck around, you will find out. We don't play around out there with our own. And as far as everyone else is concerned, they don't remember who you are. That's how that life works. Until you've been around for a while, you aren't one of us. And as far as I'm concerned, you will never be one of us. Burn in hell, Denki. I hope that you hate yourself for what you did. And I hope you hurt to this day. There is damage done that can't be undone. And I'm done. I was going to let this just lie, and I can't anymore. that's all, folks. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.